Cool.
Yeah. So I'm recording now.
Okay.
Wow, it's been a
Are you gonna
while.
edit it?
No, no, no. It's all part of it, you know. It's like it's unedited. It's free. But if there's anything that we both do not want
Oh yeah,
to be a
I just
part of
mean in
this.
terms of these
Yeah, yeah,
small
yeah, yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
We
But
edit
this
as
does.
well.
But this is what makes it more
Yeah,
authentic. Shows that okay, at
yeah.
least myself and you, we
We
know
need to
each other
record,
up to a point.
right? Yeah.
All right. So
How's things?
normally, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Mhm.
Let's know you, like your name, what you do, where you are. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Francis Quarcoopome. I run an events company called Jamja Company Limited. We're a team of 6. We're based in Accra, but we work across the continent, especially the last three years. So this is an interesting time for us, within our industry. So we're just sort of stay at home. I think it's been 4 weeks for us, just because we started before the official
Lockdown.
lockdown. We decided to sort of work from home before that. So yeah, that's us really.
Yeah. It's crazy how um within we met. Was it 2013 or 12?
Oh yeah, it was 2012, I think,
2012.
because
Yeah.
I think it was when I measure everything by when Republic opened.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
arrived, I arrived December 2011, and Republic opened July 2012.
Hmm.
And I remember after that, I made so many new friendships, like at Republic. So I think you were in my Republic friend crowd. I think that's how we
Uh-huh.
met.
Yeah. And it's amazing to just watch, you know, how you started the company, face different types of
In there,
adversities,
man.
different types of issues, but just steadily being focused and building your company. And this company that started in Accra became a full Ghana company, and now West African, and now African based company. And
Yeah.
it's been nice to really watch. Can you just like maybe summarize what that feels like, you know?
That's a really good question. I think also because you've been there from the beginning, so you know. Um, I think it's been, so this would be 2013 when I started Jamja.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like 7 years now of just the experience of building your own company.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a period in time, probably the first 4 years, that are kind of like you are going through it. You're broke, got no
Yeah.
money, you're
Yeah.
figuring it out. You're like, okay, there's life. The only thing kind of pushing you on is the vision that you have and what you know is possible. And it's actually people like you who remind me how far I've come, because sometimes when you're in it, you can't really see it.
Can say it.
So
That's
it's just
true.
when you start talking to people that you're like, oh my gosh, like, wow, it's really come far. And I think one of the things was always to work across Africa. And over the last 2 years,
It's just
honestly, I think I've surprised. You know, when you're watching it happen, you're like, is this really happening? Like, is this actually a thing that is happening to us? And it's happened in a way that has just been so aligned. Like you just can't really make it up because people are like, and there's always difficulties and challenges, and
yeah.
it's been a lot of work. It's been, especially new countries. Your place, Nigeria, that one has taught
Hardcore.
me how to have tough skin, how to be aggressive. But I think it's very, it's been a journey. Like and so that's why this is a very interesting time, because after 7 years, it's like for something that you don't really expect to kind of put a halt to things and cause you to reflect is quite is interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. How is it running? Because I know that the question I'm about to ask you, I know that you're inside. How is it running a business, being a woman running a business that is financially controlled by men, because a lot of people think
Yeah.
when you are into event planning and all of that, a lot of things people think that is the industry is run by women. But then when you
Yeah.
look at the other end, when you start looking at the companies who have to
Yeah.
pay and all of this, it's a
That's true.
lot of
Yeah, that's true.
male men interaction. Then also, if you look at the people suppliers, that you
Yeah.
have to work with, it's a
But yeah.
lot of men. How do you navigate that?
I think it's a really interesting question. I guess I'm very woman centered in the sense that like I'm very focused on working with women. I'm very conscious and aware of how men interact with women. I'm very like, you can kind of sense it when maybe something is because you're a woman. Generally, though, and maybe because I kind of walk into meetings and I'm very upfront, regardless of whether it's a woman or a man.
Man.
I don't really know. There's nothing that sticks out to me 100%. Like, other than depending on the country that you're in.
Mm.
So in Ghana, for example, I find that men are used to working with pretty strong women.
Okay.
Even though, yes, generally, like at home and certain places, you're supposed to have a traditional role and all this kind of stuff. I think they're also used to seeing women work. So they're
Okay.
used to seeing women do certain things, lifting, carrying. If we're not the ones doing those things, it's like, I think where people maybe are surprised is when, as a boss in general, you are the one who's doing those things.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I'm a very hands-on person. You will not come to my events and you won't see me carrying something,
Yeah.
lifting something,
That
hammering something.
I can attest to
I do
that.
that.
We
And
share
so people
that.
find that, yeah, people find that very surprising. That like, but
Yeah.
aren't you the boss? So why are you
Why are you
carrying that?
lifting?
Let
Yeah.
somebody carry it. And
Yeah.
that's not my approach to like work and stuff. My approach is everybody pitches in and we do stuff. I'm not. I'll be on my hands and knees because sometimes I'm like, I know I can do it, so let me
Yeah.
just do it. And that is what surprises people. And then as a woman doing that, so as a woman handling a hammer, for example, is like people are like, so she knows how to hammer. Oh, boss, let me do it for you. I'm like, I know how to handle this hammer. More than you know how to handle the hammer. So like, it's interesting. So that's a dynamic there. In terms of the money part, I guess I've never really thought about it that way, but it's a good point. I guess there have been interactions where you realize that you do have to position yourself, or when you go to a meeting, you do have to present yourself in a certain way just because
Yeah.
you have to be not too like a boss, you have to
Yeah.
be like, oh, this is what I do, how can I help
Yeah.
you kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in Ghana, generally moving around as a woman in business, people are generally used to it. But that's not to say there aren't people who you encounter that don't react to it in a way like, this woman, what is really like, who's your boss? Like, so
Yeah.
my brother joined me 2 or 3 years ago, and that's where I found the dynamics to change. Because that's where I found that if I go to meetings with him and there's guys, they'll be looking at him, and they won't know that I'm an
You are
equal
the
partner
boss.
in this, or in some situations I am the boss. Like we're generally co-founders, but
Okay.
that's where I noticed the dynamic change when there is a man on the team. When they're just dealing with you, then it's fine. But when there's a man, then it's like, oh, we're talking to the man, and it's like, hi guys, I'm here. You
Yeah.
can speak to me as well, and I made him very aware of that, so that when we go to meetings, he knows how
He's
to
aware.
refer
Yeah.
to me, so that it's like, oh, you need to pay attention to the woman sitting next to me as well. And then I think Nigeria, that's where I dealt with the sort of the highest level of sexism is in Nigeria. And DRC, actually, that was another experience of quite high like sexism. And I don't know what it is. In Nigeria, I think it's just men are like, women should be doing certain things, like, and men should do certain things.
And just
A
in
lot more
numbers.
like, yeah, and just the numbers. But like, there are so many of the men were just like, madam, like, no, this is not for you to do. And I don't think it was from a situation of like, we don't want you to do this. I think it was more like, we just like, this is what we know, that women do this and men do this. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a conscious, like, I wanted to help this guy carry a table. He's like, no, ma, please, this is not a woman's job. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was just trying to help.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and so that's
Yeah.
the kind of level of sexism that you face, you know,
Mm.
at some level. And then DRC, I faced a similar thing. Like I knew how to do like putting up the structure, but when it came to helping out, there was also a bit of a language barrier because French. But when it came to helping out, then the men were just a bit like, who is this woman trying to tell us to do our job? Like,
Yeah.
what is she trying to do? You know? So it's a dynamic. I mean, the money part, I've actually been really lucky. One of my clients, one of my main clients, I think for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, everyone I dealt with was a woman. Everyone, every decision maker, anyone who I was dealing directly with, who was telling me, okay, this is your budget, this is what you have to do, and making some budgetary decisions was a woman. So at one
That's
point, I
nice.
was actually in a bit of a bubble of
That's nice.
like working with women, and then I was working with some men. I'm like, this is different. Like women, it's just like go,
Yeah.
go, go.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, the whole team was women. Like maybe 10 of us working on a project, and maybe there's one guy, and it was just like it was incredible. I remember just
What a
feeling
lucky
like,
guy.
yo, this is what women can do. Lucky women too that we got to
No,
like work with
I
each
mean, luck
other and stuff.
as in lucky guy to be in the midst of women. He can just observe
Yeah,
and
that's true.
learn and
Yeah,
understand.
that's
If
true.
I'm just like, in, maybe mentally he is not there psychologically to
Yeah.
understand that women function at this level, just having that
Yes, yes.
opportunity to just
Yeah,
observe,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like, me personally, I feel like every man should work with women at that capacity, because once you do,
Yeah,
if you are
yeah.
true
It
to
changes your
yourself, it
perspective.
changes your
Mhm.
perspective,
Yeah,
it forces
yeah.
you
And
to
women
rethink.
think differently. Like people don't think about it, but women think differently, and they bring a level of compassion to. I'm not saying men don't, and people always think when we're talking about women, we're saying that men don't, but it's
Yeah,
not that men don't.
it's
It's
not
that
it's not opposite.
it's assumed that men do. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
opposite. And but then there's a lot of women who, when they work and they work on it, you think compassionately in a different way. So you think about things that are slightly more like people centered sometimes, and that's not to say that, and in a way that brings solutions that sometimes benefit, or the outcome is more people centered.
yeah,
Um, I don't know why that is, but that's something that I've noticed, is that collectively everyone's thinking about how does it impact this, and that's why you find a lot of women in traditional like empathetic
yeah.
careers, but they bring a level of empathy to, you know, to sort of, I don't know, and not
From
everyone, not every
Yeah,
woman does, but a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
women.
Not every, because there are also very vicious women too. Like,
Yes,
you can
we know
find,
this
yeah. So for me
both ways.
personally, I just feel like, from my experience, every project I've worked with a woman as the co-lead, everything has moved faster.
Yeah, we just get shit done,
You
guys.
understand? Because
Once
I
you
am
accept
I
that.
am very fast. But then when I'm working with guys, ego. And I was like, who is he to tell me what to do? What is he doing?
Yes, oh my
No, I'm going
god.
to make sure that he
And it's
knows that
so
I'm.
funny. It's so funny you say this, because that is like, when I look at the projects we've done over the last year and I think about the challenges we've had, it's never been with the women on the team most of the time. It's been with the fact that we have to check the egos of like the sound guys and the AV
Yes,
guys
yes,
and
yes,
everyone, and be
yeah,
like, guys, this is not like my Guido always has a team meeting with the teams before, and he goes, you need to check your egos. Like, this is
yeah,
not a case of like, oh, who talked to me like this, don't talk to me like that. And if we've ever had issues, it's to do with that. So it's
yeah,
interesting that you bring
yeah.
that up,
It is. See,
because
let me tell
it's
you
true.
something. I once had a sound guy who always gave me headache, like always, for 3 years straight. Only for the fourth year for him to come and tell me, "Oh, apologies. You are the best producer I've ever worked with."
Always. Then they'll come to you and tell you that I want to work with
Yeah.
you.
So why were you giving me all those headaches? Say, "Oh, you're just telling me what to do in front of all these people. I don't." Just like, you understand?
Get over
So
yourself.
yeah, the ego is
Yeah,
so,
ego is a
and
big thing.
you come to realize that it's not about money, it's not about growth, it's just
It's
ego. I
literally
don't
about ego.
understand why
Yeah,
men just move thinking like
I
they
don't know.
are the world starts and ends. with a man?
I
You
don't
know,
know.
it's
You
just,
have to answer those questions.
I
Me,
don't,
I don't know.
Charlie, I don't know. But something interesting is that
Yeah.
I know you just said you work with women, but I know that you center your company in a way where there are more women. Is this still that way?
Still the case. There's 4 women and 2 guys.
Yeah.
And people kind of say, oh, but shouldn't you be equally, hiring? And it's like, yeah, I mean, if there's a guy that can do a job, fine. But I'm going to prefer to hire women just because I think that one of the biggest points that I've always tried to make is that there's a lot of notions that women can't work together.
Yeah.
In Ghana and in Africa, there's a lot of issues with sexual harassment in the workplace. There are, and so when you go for a job, a lot of women will tell you, go for a job, there's some kind of offer or kind of assumption that, okay, if you want this job, then you need to give me something. What are you going to give me? And so I really wanted to make sure that my company was a place that, one, was safe for women to work in, could feel like, okay, this is a safe place. I can be myself. I can bring my creativity to it, but also I can work with other women and I can learn that I can work with other women without causing any, like there doesn't need to be tension. You can have tensions with a woman and you can discuss it and you can say, hey, this is what I didn't like or this is what I didn't like. And so I wanted to also, when people are working with me, also teach about like resolving conflict together as women, because I think we don't do that. Like, what if you go to big companies and maybe some women don't like each other? No one will confront it and be like, okay, guys, what's the reason here? Because sometimes too, it's just based on something basic or a misunderstanding, like everything. And it's about getting people to think broader and go, if it's a misunderstanding, what was the person's intention? Yes, some people are like don't intend, but in my company, I'm like, guys, did you intend to do that? No, not necessarily. And I know all of you to not think that this is what your intention is, but if you don't like something, let the person know you don't like it, speak about it, and then brush it over, because it's also not good for business. If you people are there sitting and there's tensions and then you won't give this person the work or you'll keep saying things like, I do not stand for any of that. So it's like, you've got to make sure you have it out. We have a discussion. If it's a real issue, bring it to management. I will help you have that conversation. But it's important to teach that, like, you can have issues with people. You can talk about them. You can get
conflict resolution.
You can continue to work with each other. It doesn't have to be a case of, oh, women, yeah, they can't work together. No. So that was one of my aims. And then the second thing was just making sure that there was really a safe environment for women to work in. I remember this driver that I hired. I went through about a year and a half trying to find a good driver. Going through the process, there was one driver who the girls came to complain to me that he would sit in the car with them and he'd be showing them porn on his phone. Can you imagine?
Oh wow!
I was like, dude, are you serious?
That's crazy.
I was like, please. The minute I got that, I just fired him straight away.
Yeah.
But just little things like that, and people have no kind of like filter of like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Some people won't stand up for things like
if
that.
If he was a taxi driver or an Uber driver, he might do the same thing.
Exactly. But the point is like, do people who are working for you know that you will stand up for certain things or you will stand against certain things? And that's always been my thing. Is like, look, if there's any ever issue, like any issues with anybody, you let me know straight away, because it's the one thing I can't, like, sexual harassment in the workplace is like.
Yeah, I know that people might not know that because it's not like you put yourself out there, but I know that this is something that you are very passionate about. So, like, we've had several discussions on this, and you always know that you have my support anytime you are ready to begin to bring your advocacy to the forefront. So now the next question I want to ask you is, you spoke about your brother being a co-founder, right? How does that work? How does it work having a co-founder as a man? Second, How does it work having a family member as a man? Then how does it work knowing that if the two of you go at it, your mom is there?
And you're saying my mom because you know my mom.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't get involved. She doesn't get
Okay,
involved.
that's
That
brilliant.
one, yeah.
That's brilliant.
So I think the first thing is it's interesting that you say let's deal with the co-founder as a man.
Yeah.
Um, not my brother. Let's just generally say
Yes.
co-founder.
Yes. Yes.
That was definitely a dynamic I don't think I was fully prepared for.
Oh, okay.
Not because of it's just when you've been working with women for 2 years or like
Yeah.
a year,
Yeah.
and then like now you're working closely with a man, it's like
Yeah.
you just think about things very differently to me.
Like, where did
it's
you
just,
come from?
yeah, it's a bit like, wait, what? And already and then now bringing in the issue of my brother is the fact that we are very similar.
Yeah.
We look similar. People think we're twins.
Yeah.
We we operate in similar ways.
Yeah.
But from opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
If he's white, I'm black. If he's black, I'm white. Like we are always starting here and finding our way here.
Which is a good thing in terms of balancing everything out.
But
it is. But
sometimes the length of time to get there.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, it's been one of these things. I think when you find someone, and it could be anyone, whether they're a family member or a partner or whatever, when you find in any relationship, I think and keep in mind when my brother joined, when he moved back to Ghana, I hadn't lived with him for 10 years. I'd seen him maybe over the last 5 years, a week or
short
two,
times,
maybe.
Yeah.
Short times. So you kind of know each other and you know that, yeah, you're family, but do you really like know
each other? Yeah.
the insides of each other?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So when he moved back and we went straight into seeing each other every day and living together and working together, sitting across from each other. Like it went from 0 to 100 in a very short space of time. Yeah. So the first 3 months, we were like, first 3 months were like a roller coaster, trying to figure out each other's like thing and why do you do this and why do you but we were also very, the good thing was because we had a strong like brother-sister relationship, it helped bring us out in the sense that whenever we had like an argument or whatever, we both knew that we needed to talk about it. And so we used to try and have like Mondays where like our sessions after work is like, okay,
that's beautiful. That's
and
beautiful.
then this other person just gets everything off their chest. And it's like, okay, so then what's our solution? So again, trying to figure out, even though it was hard and it's painful and it's upsetting and it's everything, it's like, how do you get through it so that you can come out of it to a point where when it works, it's like magic. It's absolutely magic. Like we come up with things and we're just like, yo, this is nuts. And then, you kind of, when things are flowing and you know each other's place, you know where to leave the person, this person too knows where to leave the person, and we just get on with what we need to do. Again, it's like, it's flowing and it's really brought an addition, and it's really helped the company kind of take that next step. Even though it's been a lot of hard work, it's definitely, I think that partnership has allowed us to really go to the next stage, like structurally within the company, within like the events that we're doing, services that we can offer, how we work as a team. People love the fact that we're a brother and sister, so they're like, whoa, when they find out, they're just like,
family
wow,
business.
guys actually work together. Yeah, like people love it. So it's like a unique selling point in some ways.
Okay.
So it's like, cool.
Yeah, so my next curiosity is, as an executive who is very, very active, right? Now, how does that affect your relationship?
Like my personal relationship?
Your partner, yeah.
Oh, we're both very in the people. So, if I wasn't doing what I do, I think he would go crazy because I think there would just be too much of me around. Not that like he doesn't want me around, but I think like he has his life, I have my life, and then we come together, and that's what makes us like work. And I think he's so supportive, and he's incredibly supportive of the growth and everything that I'm doing, and to have someone that's just kind of solidly there throughout,
Yeah.
and just willing to kind of be like, yeah, do your thing, like do you. And same with him, like if there's things that he needs to do, I'm like, hey, go do what you need to do, like whatever you need to do for you, do it, and we work out and see how it works. And I think that's actually what's made us, like, we've been together almost 6 years. I think
Yeah.
that's what's like,
Wow, that's true, man. Almost 6 years.
It'll be 6 years in August. I know, right? Me too. Sometimes I'm like, hey.
I remember when it started, right in front of my eyes.
Right in front of everybody.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing to see growth. You know, it's just amazing to see how all of this, you know, just grow and come together. So I'm very proud of you. Just want to put that there. So now we've touched all of this. How is COVID-19 affecting business? So because if you were just Ghana based, maybe we'll be having a different conversation. But you are not.
Yeah.
You operate within the continent actively. So
Yeah.
how is that looking?
I mean, it's so I'm sort of in these two, like when it happened and there was like a slowdown, I was like, I am actually, and I'm in a very privileged place to be able to say this.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of that. But I think it's really good. Like it's not, it's affected our business. We have no business.
Yeah.
All our events for the year have basically been canceled, postponed. Like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's not just a case of, oh, if Ghana opens up. If Ghana opens up and the borders are closed,
nothing
I'm still not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and if other countries, we rely on other countries and they're opening up and stuff like that. So I've just wiped out this year. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just wipe out the year. Luckily, in some way as well, because we pre-finance a lot of events, we have some reserves. So we're able to at least keep paying our staff their salaries and, you know, just keeping a very base level. We have we've been working on some projects that are digital and online, but now it's looking at, okay, how does that work in a situation where we still can't go to places? So how are we making this a proper like online digital kind of experience? So it's definitely forcing us to innovate and think about what we're going to do in the future. I'm really taking this as like step back time. And I'm lucky to be able to say that. I've actually really enjoyed the last 2 weeks of like processing and just figuring out and reflecting and thinking about my business and thinking about stuff and talking about that. Before we called, I said I was recording a video, and so basically in the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about how I can help businesses that are still in exist, like that can still operate. And so I came up with a hashtag. It's called Stay Home Order In. And it's basically to try and get us to remember that there are businesses that are still operating. They can operate. And that means that maybe as a community, we can still support the jobs that they are saving, farmers, chefs, delivery drivers, in some way. And I know that, like, you know, people are trying to save money and stuff. So it's not something you can do all the time, but ordering in when you can, and then also just making it aware. So like, if you know of businesses that maybe I don't know about, how can I like just share it? So that's actually launching today.
Nice.
Congratulations. Right after this talk. I'm gonna launch it on Instagram, and hopefully people will just be like, yeah, you know what, let's do what we can. Because just because my business is affected doesn't mean that I can't also, it's not costing me anything to also try and support other businesses. And I think that's where we also as a business are doing something with our staff. We can all get behind a campaign. We can help businesses that, you know, in the future, maybe, hey, there'll be people that we need to work with as well. So that's been a nice process. I've been been able to do something that is a bit more creative and a bit more community centered. And so I like that element of it. So I don't know, I'm taking each day like as it comes. I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know what's gonna happen.
It's so obviously we know about the deaths, we know about the pain, confusion, anxiety, and everything. But for me personally, I've been sharing this. You can hear me?
Yeah.
So it's so beautiful to witness, because we've never, the world is, at least for as long as we know, has never been so aligned, you know, where
And
you
so
have
shut
this,
down at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah, where you have the same fear, the same
Yep,
realities, the same hopes,
exactly.
you know,
Yep,
and I
yep.
feel like for those who can, this is the right time to really, really think, who do
I
I want to
100%
be? Who
agree.
am I?
I,
You know?
yeah, I 100% agree. I think that there's a lot of people who obviously this is really tough for, and just people are not used to being in, and
Yeah.
it is something that's very difficult, and it is something that not being near your family members, there's people who are alone. But I think that I'm with you. I think there's something about this situation that is so unique and
Yeah, it's so
so
unique. Yeah.
beautiful that it's like it's and don't get me wrong, like you've said, all the deaths and everything, that's not beautiful, but like
Yeah.
it gives us a chance to reflect as humans and be like, okay,
Yeah.
what's really important for me? Like
Yeah.
I think that it like I think it starts to wipe out like the standard operating system of like I must go and buy this. Like now,
Yeah.
let's say me and you are having a
Yeah.
conversation. Is there skills we can barter to get something done?
Yeah.
And I feel like it changes and it forces people to look at what are the alternative ways that I can engage with people. I think businesses are going to have to really think about how do I ride this out if it's happening for 6 months, because it could be happening for a year or two. Like
Yeah.
we don't know how long this is going to happen for, and so I think it's an opportunity to go, okay, you know what, how do I like engage with my community in a way that's different? How do I support people differently? I mean, a lot of people, we are the people who are more privileged. We have
Yeah.
like 10 or 15 people who we're having to carry with us. Like in Africa, that's how it's working.
Yeah.
I don't know how many phone calls you've
Yeah.
got. I've received phone calls, madam, my painter, my carpenter, my everyone who helps me, I have to give them something
Yeah.
because they just don't have any work. And so how do we find a way to, and I think governments need to start thinking about this too. I think private individuals do. I think it's harder because we can't move around as much,
Yeah.
but governments need to start looking at what is our African like solution, in the sense that there's so many people who are just out of work, and they rely on us. And if we're out of work, we can't give them anything.
So this
We
is the
can't give them any
reason.
money in like
This.
3 months when our salaries are not coming either. Like
Yeah.
how are we thinking about that? And I don't think we're thinking about that yet, which
This.
is fair enough. But
All they are doing so far is just share rice and oil, which I'm looking at. I'm like, this is not enough. Like you see it in the case of Germany and Sweden. Germany, they're doing like large scale testing, so that they really understand true data what they're facing, right? And in Germany, you can drive around, you can ride, you can take walks. There are
they have
people.
such better more systems.
In Sweden, they've not done nothing. Like they're living, they just allowed things to run, because they said if we shut down, by the time we reopen, the economy is going to be completely gone. So we are going to trust our citizens and work accordingly and see how we can both navigate this together. Obviously, their death rates are higher than their neighboring countries. But you're just seeing statistics. By the time this is done, a lot of countries are going to be down, like down. So I just feel like
we don't have luxuries. Like we don't have a healthcare system.
no,
We don't have a network where we can feed people, or people
no,
who have jobs that don't
no.
rely on everything. Like
We don't even have
people
proper data.
like, and so for me, it's like, how are we finding solutions that, because there's one thing, right? We need to do mass testing. We need to keep people home. But at the same time, you almost need to do a deal with people and say, look, if you're going to go out and we're going to open things, then you guys also have to take responsibility, because if Corona doesn't kill us, hunger will kill us.
Yeah,
So,
but the people do not trust government, because government has not given us any reason to trust them.
I genuinely don't. But like in Nigeria, what's happening with like the looting and people going around and things like that, we have to be careful about. Like that's
Yeah,
for us. Like,
yeah. My sister.
and so we have to be sure that like we are engaging those people and really understanding what they need, so that if they need jobs, maybe we have to open up the markets. Maybe there's certain things we have to open up. But can we find a system so that, okay, when you're going here, it's like I don't know, we have to find systems that work for us to allow people to feed themselves, because the government can't feed them.
My
And
sister called me. My sister called me yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, when we were talking, she was like, oh, these people, they're just looting this, that, that, that." Then I asked her, I was like, "What do you expect them to do? You have 200 and something million people in Nigeria. Government just shuts down the country without any warning, nothing. A lot of people have lost their jobs. The people on the street who are the majority, no money, hunger, and everything. What do you expect them to do?
Yeah.
You understand?
And that's the thing.
And
so I think we really need to figure out a way that now is like, okay, like, I don't know, I think Ghana could go either way right now. Either we're going to do another 2-week lockdown, or I think they're going to open up to try and get people to go back to work.
So you mean after these 2 weeks that they've added?
I don't know, have they added 2 weeks?
They've added 2 weeks, yeah.
Oh, really? When did that come out? Today?
I think like 2 days ago.
Oh, really? So they've added 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, so these 2 weeks that they've added, are we going to continue as is? Because in these 2 weeks, what are these people doing? And I see Nigeria as a case study. Whatever happens in Nigeria ultimately happens in Ghana. Like, you know, when they say like the US catches a cold, sneezes, everyone else catches a cold. I mean, what happens in Nigeria is like, Ghana is a microcosm of Nigeria. So if whatever happens in Nigeria on a larger scale, we can see it as like, this could potentially be us. So
luckily, this is just 4 states in Nigeria are actually on full isolation. Just 4 states, I think. So imagine if...
Yeah, but it's Lagos State.
Yes, but imagine if they lock down the entire country, you know?
Oh, no, that one.
Yeah,
you know,
so it's growing. It's growing towards that.
Have they added some places to lock down? Because it's Ghana and Command. I haven't seen it. I'll check.
But Ghana, the way they locked down, the way they did the lockdown in Ghana, I actually think it makes sense, which is creating boroughs, you know, and just locking down points. So now you can move around.
But people have been going to the village. So then if they're ill, they go to the village.
Yeah. I've heard stories of people. Yeah. So as an executive, and you know, I've always said that you have a political future.
This manifestation that you won't let me live down.
As the mayor of our city, what if you were in position? What are you thinking? Because obviously, as an executive in your company, you already have made steps. You are still paying your staff, which is one of the biggest things to do as a private company. Most private companies can't even do that. If I'm even talking about those who even have like a system or whatever. So that's big ups to you. But you are starting a campaign that's from a mindset of someone who wants to do something. So as an executive, you're just looking at the country, what would you propose?
Look, you can never be the people in power, because when you're in power in these situations, I worked in Ebola. I worked in Sierra Leone.
Yes, you did.
I was sitting there when people were making decisions. And let me tell you that it's not easy. It is really, really, really not easy to take into account 13 million people's different situations. There's never going to be a right situation. I think, though, it's about approach. It's about how we're approaching this. I can't say what policies they should put in place, but I think they can think of an approach to policies. So I remember one of the things that I think was one of the biggest lessons I learned from Ebola was making sure that it was people and not politics at the center of the decision making. Like truly making sure that it was people. Like, because that impacts, you need the people to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's not like you are just giving the people and telling them what to do. you need them to get you out of the situation that you're in as a government. You rely on your people to kind of be on your side to get you out of things. So I remember in Sierra Leone, one of the biggest things was burials. Like they couldn't stop people doing burials. And you know, with Ebola, when the person has died is when you're highest in like the highest infection point.
Yeah.
So burials were like people wash bodies, then 60 people infected straight. Like it was crazy, but you couldn't get people because of traditional culture and everything, and because of how they dealt with it before then. And so I think people-centered approaches are really necessary. The difficulty with that is governments kind of feel the pressure straight away that they have to do something. And so what happens is you get knee-jerk reactions to certain things rather than a full think out. And they don't like the pressure of people going, do something, do something, do something, which is always going to come, but they don't know how to kind of sit back and go, okay, you know, if you do something, what are we doing and what is like the impact of this? Because let's say they've talked about electricity. This thing has not been rolled out yet. People are like, so where's my electricity? So now people are upset.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So now you've got upset. So now maybe the first 3 weeks, you've had a great campaign. People like, hey, MPP, whatever. And then now it's like downhill because you didn't really think out what your policy was. So I think it's a people approach. I think it's trying to minimize like knee-jerk reactions. And I think it really is about inclusivity. The issue is that when you're in politics for a lot of people, you don't really get that, especially in Africa. You don't get that true inclusiveness of political parties, of people from different places, of like people really saying, look, in my community, this is how we understand disease. So it would be best to communicate to us in this way. In this community, maybe the Gans have a way of dealing with disease. Can you find a way that traditionally they can talk to Gans to say, this is how we need to deal with this? Like, let communities also come up with ways of dealing with how they understand it, because coronavirus, we don't understand it.
Yeah.
What is it? Is this like spirit? Is this thing that's, and you know, we're superstitious. So it's going to become something that like now stigma around it, everything around it is crazy. But surely traditionally there's a way that we deal with disease in African cultures, like whether it's the slaughtering of cows and goats and chickens or whatever it is. But is there something that can be used in that traditional way to combine it with the medical, like, or the outcomes that then needs to, like, I don't know. I just think that we have to think about it.
Put the people first.
Holistic. Yeah, and because look, if the people start getting hungry and going crazy, your political campaign is over.
You see, and this is the reason why.
Which one are you?
And this is the reason why.
Which one are you?
But this is the best place to end it, so that people can see with this video, so that when 2030 comes and
my friend,
she becomes the mayor of Accra, please, people, remember this conversation. I've been telling that now for like 4 years. Remember this. So, wow. Frances, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's been great.
This was a lovely conversation. And let's have more. Let's have more. Let's chat more. We have small time now. So, yeah. All right. Bye.